are advised that the views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily those of Love 101 FM.
Hello and welcome to the award-winning The Morning Watch on Love 101 FM. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. A special welcome to our listeners on love101.org. And if you are overseas and on the move, US listeners can access us at 712-832-8001. And if you are in the UK, 0330-332-6541, or join us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also join us on Love 101 FM Facebook and YouTube Live in the first watch today. Understanding the Accompong Maroons rejection of government's recovery support post Melissa. And in second watch, bird flu, leptospirosis, and other non-human borne infections post Melissa. For our social media question, we ask, is rejecting state military aid a cultural statement, a political one, neither, or both? Share your responses on our Love 101 Facebook page and YouTube channel, and also on WhatsApp. 876-997-3125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your response later on the program, but first, as I quote.
All right, good morning. Good morning. Today's I quote says, joy does not simply happen to us. We have to choose joy and keep choosing it every day. This one is from Henry Nguyen.
The joy of the Lord is my strength. Mm-hmm. Good morning, Jacob.
Good morning.
The first watch. We'll be back after this break.
Triple Breeze King in power, each phone lasts longer. On Triple Breeze King in power, you strong, less often on Triple Breeze King in power.
Find it at a great price in your favorite store or supermarket. Formula with 3 grease cleaning agents versus another dishwashing soap of similar price.
Are you a registered charity clearing charitable items during the holiday and in the new year? Here are some reminders from the Jamaica Customs Agency to assist you with your clearance. Ensure you have a valid copy of the Certificate of Registration from the Department of Cooperatives and Friendly Societies, a letter of authorization if applicable, the signed special declaration, the bill of lading or airway bill, your packing list, your invoice or receipts, a valid tax compliance certificate, and the relevant permit and licenses where applicable. Also, ensure that shipments are consigned to the charity at the registered address and that donations for schools are consigned to the National Education Trust. For customs-related queries, you may contact Jamaica Customs at 876-922-5140 or email public.relations@jca.gov.jm. Jamaica Customs, keeping our customers in focus.
Are you ready for the Love Restores concert happening Saturday, December 20 at Emancipation Park? Love 101 presents a benefit concert. Yep, the Love Restores concert at 5 p.m. for a time of worship and praise. Featuring Hubert Levy, Petra Kay, Chris Malachi, Rhoda Isabella, Ryan Davis, Perpetual Sounds of Praise, Audia Spencer Brown, Minister Y Positive Campbell, dances by White Cat's Soul of Dance, Genesis Praise Squad, and Jai Kingston. You're invited to take non-perishable food items or donations in cash, and we'll put it all together for our trip to the West. Don't miss Season Splendor, Saturday, December 20, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. We'll have lots of booths with many items on sale, and you can do your Christmas shopping. Then stay with us for the Love Restores concert at Emancipation Park, Saturday, December 20, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Admission is free. Love Restores, presented by Love 101 in association with Friends and Crosslinks. Don't you miss it.
When we come.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm Stokeley Marshall. Now, a compound continues to uphold its right to self-governance and to preserve its unique cultural and political identity, it appears. And, well, one would argue or ask the question, rather, you know, with them rejecting government military assistance after Hurricane Melissa, well, what exactly does that mean? And does it reveal anything about heritage, claims to sovereignty, and how to recover post the hurricane? Or does it say other things as well? And what does this mean, particularly in a time when many are trying to recover from a disaster? And of course, what are they saying about their own, about themselves as a people group, if you can use that term? What are they saying about autonomy, sovereignty? There has been history of issues in other countries where a set of persons within a particular jurisdiction would like to have their own self-governance, their own political system. Sometimes, in some cases, those initiatives fail, and in a few cases have succeeded. Well, here on the Morning Watch, we're not afraid of looking at the challenging issues. We have as a guest this morning Professor Anne Bailey, researcher, writer, speaker, African American and Caribbean history. And I would dare say that she is no stranger to the Morning Watch. We probably should have her on more often. Professor Anne Bailey, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Mr. Marshall. It's a pleasure to be with you again.
Yes, a pleasure having you back with us. And as you might recall in a previous discussion we had on this program, Professor Anne Bailey, and for transparency, I've never met the gentleman, never did meet him, but I was told, reliably so, that my great-grandfather on my mother's side was an Accompong Maroon. Professor Bailey.
Excellent.
Professor Bailey, is rejecting state military aid a cultural statement, a political one, or both? You might have seen certain recent matters in the media.
I think so many things, and
you sound a little bit far away. I don't know if there's anything we can do on our end or you can do on your end, but you sound a little bit, there's a bit of an echo, and you sound a bit far away. But let's try again. Go ahead.
Can you hear me better now? Hopefully you can hear me a little bit better. Let me speak a little louder.
Not so bad. Yes, let's try.
Okay, good. I want to say that, first of all, it is such an important issue, and like anything else, I would say consider the history. You have the Maroons of Accompong having this 1739 treaty that they're standing on, and that is iconic. And what we have to realize is that that's the history, that they have their, if not complete independence, they have their cultural independence going back so far, way before, over 100 years before, just about 100 years before the rest of us on the island would have received any kind of, liberation and freedom, if you will.
In terms of emancipation from slavery.
In terms of emancipation from slavery.
Yes.
So these are the people, these descendants are the descendants of people who have had freedom even before the Haitians in the Haitian Revolution.
Even before the Haitians, I'm agreeing with you totally.
Imagine that. The Haitians got their had their revolution in 1791 to 1804. And our Jamaican Maroons were the freest people in the hemisphere from 1739. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
I totally agree with you. Yeah.
This is something that is a national treasure. It's an international treasure. And I think you have to respect, I think, the leadership. And I want to take my hat off to Richard Curry in this case of saying we want to preserve that cultural independence. And I think his reasons, which are that this has been a very traumatic event, which is true for everybody on the island, and even those of us who weren't on the island at the time, by extension, it's been traumatic. And he believes that military presence would exacerbate that trauma in the area. And we see to that. I think that's a reasonable request, but he's not saying that no to humanitarian relief, either from the government or from NGOs.
Interesting. Now, so I think what you're in essence saying is that accepting help is not the same as losing control, but do you have any comments in relation to why the opposition to military presence?
Well, I think the other part of the history, I went way back first because that's important. But the more recent history, as we know, is in the last few years, they have been contending, the government and the Accompong Maroons have been contending about issues of mining rights, who has access to the cockpit country, how and when that will be preserved, which our hope is it will be preserved for the future of Jamaica and for the future of the world, the biodiversity aspect, the environmental aspect of it, as well as the cultural aspect. So we know that there's some economic issues here afoot, and they have been trying to establish meaning the Maroons, that they should not be mining in the cockpit country. They have been very clear about that this is our cultural heritage. It is what makes us special. And I don't know how much we as Jamaicans recognize how important the Maroons are to all of us. You don't have to. I'm so happy that Stokeley, you have Maroon heritage, but I claim it too, even without having it, because I'm a Jamaican. And so I'm a part of this history of liberation. It's connected to all of us, and it is famous around the world. I don't think people understand how famous it is.
It is interesting because I've met a couple of Accompong Maroons in the past. I don't know what it is about us, but somehow we identify each other without saying a word. After interacting with them for a little bit, or just being in their presence for a while without saying too much, well, yes, saying a word, yes, but to explain what I mean is it's almost as if you didn't need to say, I have family from St. Elizabeth.
Right.
Somehow in the discourse, you kind of pick up, it's like a spirit.
Yes.
You kind of sense, you say to the person, you have Maroon background in your... Yes, it's always a yes. I don't know what it is.
Maybe it is. And I want to do a little in this because we also have family in St. Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Again, we don't know, because some of us don't know about their direct connections.
Yes.
Go back as far as middle
and a lot of the history is not documented not in writing.
Exactly.
Not written down.
Not enough.
Yes, it's not written down, but somehow I've had that experience before where you're in a meeting with someone, or after interacting for a while, you turn to the person or the person turns to you, and you begin to realize that there is some commonality.
That's right.
In just how you interact with each other.
My hope
it's almost like family. They pick up that you and this person are family. But Professor Bailey, this whole matter of military-led recovery vis-a-vis civilian recovery, because at the end of the day, this area, all of these areas in Jamaica that they are claiming are sacred, in that they are claiming are part of their heritage, culturally and otherwise. At the end of the day, they are within the island of Jamaica, and Jamaica is a sovereign state. Legally, speaking as an attorney, they don't have sovereignty, at least not in the way we understand. We're going to head for a break now, Professor Bailey, but after the break, I want you to help us to break down or to explain how can you make these claims about independence, sovereignty within the context of a modern Jamaica, which itself is sovereign? After the break, Professor Bailey. Listeners, very interesting conversation. Please stay with us. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
Mama work hard, for real. She do the most to send me and my brother go school. So, the dream was always to go to university. Well, I fulfilled 2 dreams with 1 Jane Bank savings plan, you know. I further my education and I make mama proud.
So you can make the park, travel park, graduate like a star.
Stop wishing you could. With your Jane Bank savings, you absolutely can. Jane Bank will help you find a way.
We've seen a lot of our customers make some good moves over the years. Whether it's sharing a hug with a friend you haven't seen in a long time or sharing a meal, Grace has been there. So let's keep making these moments together, because rest assured, every time you choose Grace, you know you're making a good move.
Always a good move when you're moving with Grace.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We're doing the topic in this first watch, understanding the Compound Maroons' rejection of government's recovery support post. Melissa, our guest, Professor Ann Bailey, researcher, writer, speaker, African, American, and Caribbean history. We were hoping to be joined by another guest as well. We don't know if they will be able to join eventually, but Professor Bailey, just before the break, had raised an issue with you or asked a question in terms of military-led recovery vis-a-vis civilian recovery, and the fact that in a modern Jamaica, which itself is sovereign, how does a group such as the Maroons, how do they stake a claim to their own sovereignty, which they're saying predates even the emancipation of slavery in this part, in Jamaica, even our own independence as a country, but they are saying that they themselves have their own independence. How does one reconcile that, legally, technically, culturally, in this modern context?
In my opinion,
yes,
what this should really speak to is cultural independence. Obviously, they don't have specifically political independence. They're not a state unto themselves.
yes.
But if we recognize the importance of this ancestral heritage, which
Yeah.
belongs once again to all of us. I can't stress that enough. It doesn't matter whether you have specific maroon
Blood or not,
ancestry
yes.
or not. It
Yeah.
belongs to Jamaica. It's Jamaica's accomplishment as a whole, because this happened here and it's recognized around the world.
And they achieved their freedom long before
Long before
slavery was even abolished.
virtually the first, not the first, but virtually the first in the hemisphere, but
In the
certainly
hemisphere,
for the
yeah.
Caribbean. So for us to claim that, it is worth saying that even though they don't have specific sovereignty,
Yes.
should treat them as we have for many years, as this quasi-independent body, which we consult with. You consult with the
The
chief, the
quasi-independent body that you consult with.
in the way that you would in a kind of a diplomatic, in the spirit of diplomacy. So
In a
not in a
spirit of
spirit of,
diplomacy.
not in a spirit of contention or
No confrontation. There should be no confrontation. There should be no
not at all.
contention.
No power struggle, but
Okay.
a recognition of who they are. And it's not the current person in the place of chief. That will change over time. That will change for generations. It's the position
Yeah.
of the chief
post.
of
Post.
the Maroons,
Yes.
to
yes.
respect that and respect their desire in consultation with them, again, without confrontation, to respect their desire to not have military presence. Because part of what they have done in the past and for many years is they have policed themselves. If we're really honest,
They
these
have.
are not areas.
They most definitely have. They have.
These are some of the safest areas in Jamaica. Let us be honest.
Yes.
Let's
Yes.
be
yes.
absolutely honest.
Yes.
That's because of their own quasi-independence and their own ability to keep the peace and to keep crime at bay. So why would we try to change anything?
There appears to be, forgive me, but and this is not a political statement, but it would appear we have seen in the media where there appears to be a little bit of a let me say non-agreement between the current Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Dr. Andrew Holness, and Chief Richard Curry. Is it that maybe some sort, you mentioned diplomacy, is it that maybe some sort of rapprochement is required where maybe even a respected statesman of the country, I'm not saying, I'm not dropping in names for just for sake of sake. Maybe like a PJ Patterson along with Bruce Golding, or have a meeting with both gentlemen and see if some sort of a peaceful way of going forward can be struck.
Excellent idea.
Because whenever I see the tension sort of being shown in the media, and you sense that there's this, can I say rift? I don't know if that's the correct word. Maybe it's not. If it's not, please correct me, Professor Bailey. But it appears that it makes me feel uncomfortable. Let me put it that way. I feel a little uncomfortable, and I don't think it needs to happen that way.
I don't think so.
Yes, there's a more peaceable way that things can progress. But I don't know. Professor Bailey, your thoughts?
Absolutely. Stokely, it's an excellent idea. Let me say, as somebody who works in conflict mediation and resolution, not only do I do it in terms of teaching the history, difficult histories, but I also teach and work in conflict resolution. I think mediation is always the way to go. I would suggest, though, not somebody who's the mediator shouldn't be somebody who's allied with a particular party. You want it to be non-political and really person, someone who's coming in and can help, who understands the history and can help bring some of these parties together. And I dare say I would volunteer myself, to be very honest with you, because you are someone like me who does not have a stake in either way, but just the big picture, because these tensions do not have to continue. And I think the understanding of who we are internationally and how these people, these Maroons, whether we like them specifically or not, they have brought international fame to Jamaica. And if we were to disrupt their community, I can tell you, definitely would not be very good for Jamaica. And let's just say we have recognized recently how much loved we are in the world. I think we have recognized, if we didn't know that before, the outpouring of love that we have gotten from in and out of Jamaica, I mean, all over the world, the outpouring of love in post Melissa, it just shows us how special people feel about Jamaica. I would hate for our reputation to be damaged, to be very honest, because we're in contention with one of the cultural assets of Jamaica.
I don't feel comfortable when I see the challenges, and I don't think it needs to happen. I think there's a better way, a peaceable way. Yes.
And can I also say that I also respect Prime Minister Holness and what he's trying to do, because he has a very difficult charge right now, and he's obviously wanting to use the military in any way that they can, and that's what the
military have been doing for decades.
The engineers, exactly.
They have the know-how, they have the technical expertise.
Completely understand.
So they really ought not to be this tension and this rift and that sort of thing. And yes, we do underscore the efforts of the government, including that of the Most Honorable Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. in no, we do applaud all of his efforts.
Absolutely.
I'm just talking about what appears to be the challenge between the gentlemen at the moment. In terms of the long-term implications for cooperation between the state and autonomous communities, because the compound Maroons are not the only group.
That's right.
They are not the only group.
Right.
So going forward, the long-term implications. You mentioned diplomacy, and Jamaica is not the only country where you have, can I say, indigenous peoples.
Yeah.
So, and we know, well, I certainly have seen what happens in other countries. You have indigenous peoples in Canada, you have them in Australia, you have them in other parts of the world. I don't know if you have any thoughts you want to share with us in terms of long-term implications for cooperation between the state and autonomous communities.
That's a great question. Let me
Sure.
just say that I'm in the process right now because I'm a scholar activist.
Yeah.
And I'm in the process of writing a book called The Age of Repair.
The age of
Repair.
repair. Ah,
Repair.
yeah.
And I'm also a part of a group called CRAFT, which is Churches Reparations Action Forum, which is, as it says, we are seeking from churches, reparations for actions during slavery, participation in slavery and the slave trade.
Yes, yes.
I know you all have covered before, so I just want to give a plug to CRAFT, which I'm very happy to be a part of, and it's mostly ministers and lay people like myself, Christian lay people who are trying to really push this issue of reparations, but in part from a Christian perspective. So I say all this to say that we are in an age of repair, and not only discussing issues like reparations for slavery, but also for these indigenous groups who, in many cases, if you take the Australian the Aborigines, have not received, substantial reparations or repair for the harm that was done to them. So I think, there's so many ways to look at it, and not just reparations, but also ways of acknowledging them as cultural assets, which is coming back to our Jamaican Maroons. Repair is not just about money. It's about acknowledgement, being a cultural asset. Just the same way, for example, in Jamaica, that we acknowledge the cultural assets of our musical icons like Bob Marley or Jim Croce, may he rest in peace, who I think we're honoring later today. Am I right? These are cultural assets, and Jamaica is very good, and the world is great as well at honoring our cultural assets. Well, it's the same thing with the Jamaican Maroons and other indigenous peoples. We need to give them that same attention and love and respect and diplomacy.
It is said that you still have persons with Taino heritage who are still here in Jamaica.
Yes.
Even though the Spaniards did such a horrible, well, we don't want to go back there now, but there are still a few persons with Taino blood in them to this day, he said. But as we wrap up this morning, Professor Bailey, how much is all of this about respecting history, culture, and choice, and understanding that recovery post Melissa is not only physical, but also social, and even, can I add, psychological?
Absolutely. I think I mentioned the word trauma, and that's some of what I'm writing about in this book is about the traumatic aspect of surviving slavery and what that means as a person from the Caribbean and what it means to be Jamaican, and how some of that still resonates today in certain actions and deeds and so forth. And I think this hurricane it's a kind of trauma, I mean, I don't think people fully realize that.
I wasn't in St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, Trelawney, and I felt somewhat traumatized, and I wasn't there.
Absolutely. Because, and even those of us who, I live on the island on and off all the time, but I happened to be away at the time, and how many of us slept? I mean, there was literally the fear, the concern,
Professor Bailey, only because of time, if you could leave just one final thought in the next 10 seconds, because I think we're completely out of time.
I just want to say, first of all, you keep in perfect peace those whose mind is stayed on him. And I believe that we got to keep our mind stayed on the Lord. And we are a resilient people. And I think that's what I am left with in this post-Melissa era.
And we just hope that this tension or this situation, can I call it that? Let me not call it tension. This situation can be resolved in terms of their compound maroons and the receiving of aid in whichever form.
I do.
Want to thank you. Thank you, Professor Bailey, for being with us this morning. Never enough time in the morning watch, but I want to thank you for sharing your thoughts with us.
It's a pleasure.
Viewers and listeners, please stay with us. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
Start your journey with a JN Small Business Loan with small business loans as little as $10,000 and up to $4 million. The time by JN Small Business Loan is
7:31.
You know what happens when you mix one packet of Tang? Flavor, freshness, and good vibes fill the whole big jug. It keeps giving more and more, enough to share with family and friends. Now with vitamin C, D, zinc, and fewer calories, so everyone feels great. Make Tang and turn any moment into something delicious. Tang, the flavor that keeps giving and refreshing.
Sagicor Sigma Run. This time we run, walk, and wheel for the West. Join us as we hit the road to raise $150 million to help rebuild and repair schools out west, damaged and destroyed by Hurricane Melissa. Together we will rebuild and come back stronger. Let's make a difference for the children and help get their education back on track. February 15, 2026, Sagicor Sigma Run. Register now at SagicorSigmaRun.com. Sponsored by National Baking Company, Walden, Sagicor Foundation, Reggae Marathon, Whistling Frog, and Love 101 FM.
The Urban Development Corporation is pleased to announce that following the passage of Hurricane Melissa, several of our landmark attractions have officially reopened. The world-famous Guns River Falls and Park, Harmony Beach Park, Old Bay Beach, and Turtle River Park are once again ready to welcome families, communities, and visitors. In the spirit of national recovery, these spaces stand as symbols of Jamaica's strength, unity, and resilience. UDC remains committed to supporting our people and rebuilding stronger. UDC, building a stronger, more resilient Jamaica together.
Here's why you can't afford to miss the Morning Watch.
I love listening to the Morning Watch because topics are discussed and issues are highlighted that are of major importance, which in turn edify me.
The Morning Watch, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays.
I like listening to the Morning Watch. I find it very informative. I find it very interesting. The topics that are covered are very, very wide.
The Morning Watch, thought-provoking, insightful, current. Listen for the probing questions with Attorney at Law Stokeley Marshall and the in-depth discussion with Reverend Dr. Dallin Toussaint.
Every Tuesday, the Morning Watch is brought to you by Bashco. Bashco, the store that gives you more.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Let's take a look at the newspapers to see what Jamaicans and others are saying and doing. And we have here in the Daily Observer, one headline here reads, Seeding the Future. Green maps resilient path for agriculture sector. This story by Jerome Williams. After Hurricane Melissa caused significant damage to the agriculture sector, Portfolio Minister Floyd Green says the ministry's Build Back Better strategy is focused on planting the seeds of a stronger and more resilient food system anchored in climate-smart farming, expanded storage facilities, and faster replanting. We turn to another story here in the Daily Observer. And this one is JPS increase defense. Energy Minister Daryl Vaz sought Tuesday to quell public alarm after the Office of Utility Regulation, OUR, announced that it had approved a 7% electricity rate hike to Jamaica Public Service Company, JPS, that will begin to hit customers this month. This story by Jason Cross. We now turn to the Daily Gleaner. One story here reads on the front page, Hamish's regret. Indy comes Campbell retiring with disappointment over police fatal shootings. That story by Laverne Barrett. And we have here also on the front page of the Gleaner, Post Melissa, electricity grid restoration at 84%. That story by Corey Robinson. Those and many other stories in our various news sources. Coming up next, we'll read some of the feedback from our Facebook and YouTube and WhatsApp question, which is rejecting state military aid a cultural statement, a political one, neither or both? If you haven't done so yet, leave your responses on our Facebook or YouTube. Love 100 FM Jamaica Live, and also WhatsApp comments and voice notes to 876-9973-125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll be right back.
True Shake Protein Plus with 16 grams of protein, packed with the nutrition schoolboy footballers need up to power performance and go for goals. Score big with True Shake Protein Plus. Find out what 16 extra grams of protein can do for you.
Sponsor the Schoolboy football competition.
As a contractor, I never work without a plan.
As an electrician, protection is always a priority.
If you're a small business owner or an independent contractor, there's a plan that gives you protection and coverage. Sagicor Pro Shield. Get up to $1 million critical illness coverage and cover up to 80% of your medical costs for as little as $15,510 every 3 months. Get the protection you need with Sagicor Pro Shield. Call 876-936-7784. Conditions apply.
Fresh and 24/7, you see. New Eaton, a softener with a scent for close your eyes. New Eaton, fresh and 24/7 with a scent that lasts. New Eaton, find it in your favorite store.
Importers. Shipments requiring you to pay customs duties and taxes are cleared on a customs goods declaration known as an IM4 or IMS4. Ask your clearing agent to provide your customs declaration, customs assessment notice, and customs receipt once duties and taxes are paid. Where your clearing agent may not be able to provide the IM4 or IMS4, request your customs goods declaration registration number or C number, which can be used to verify your payments. Importers, request your IM4, IMS4, or C number. It is your right. For details, email the Jamaica Customs Agency at public.relations@jca.gov.jm. Jamaica Customs, keeping our customers in focus.
Are you ready for the Love Restores concert happening Saturday, December 20 at Emancipation Park? Love 101 presents a Love Restores concert at 5 p.m. for a time of worship and praise, featuring Hubert Levy, Petra Kay, Chris Malachi, Rhoda Isabella, Ryan Davis, Perpetual Sounds of Praise, Audia Spencer Brown, Minister Dwight Positive Campbell, dances by White Cat's Soul of Dance, Genesis Praise Squad, and Jai Kingston. You're invited to take non-perishable food items or donations in cash, and we'll put it all together for our trip to the West. Don't miss Season Splendor, Saturday, December 20, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. We'll have lots of booths with many items on sale, and you can do your Christmas shopping. Then stay with us for the Love Restores concert at Emancipation Park, Saturday, December 20, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Admission is free. Love Restores, presented by Love 101 in association with Friends and Crosslinks. Don't you miss it.
When we come.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Now for your responses to the feedback question. To our social media question. Is rejecting state military aid a cultural statement, a political one, neither or both? Jakal.
All right, so we have a response here on WhatsApp. We have Cherry from Spanish Town. Cherry says, with all the value that surrounds the Maroons culturally, help refusal can be under both headings. Help going should not be based on military-led, but should be civilian and humanitarian help. Consultation should be done with both party leaders and the leader of the Maroons to bring peace. Cooperation is very important going forward.
Interesting response there. And keep those comments coming in, and we move right into the second watch. And in terms of the first watch, of course, as we indicated, we were trying to have another guest on, but unfortunately, we were not able to connect with that particular guest, and that guest was supposed to assist with discussing the military presence issue. Or that issue or that matter, but unfortunately we were not able to connect with that guest. We move right into the second watch. As I indicated, beyond the visible damage, there are the other threats, health-related threats, issues in terms of the water, the soil, and even the animal population. And we're now talking about concerns that there is, bird flu. There have been cases of leptospirosis and other infections, and whether or not they can seriously impact us as a population, and what should people know. Well, we have as guests this morning to look at this Damian White, Assistant Lecturer, Department of Life Sciences at the University of the West Indies, nature lover and past president of BirdLife Jamaica. We also have, I believe, Dr. Patrick Craig. Yes, Dr. Patrick Craig, vet pathologist. Dr. Craig, Mr. White, good morning.
Good morning.
Is that Mr. White?
Yes.
Yes. Dr. Craig.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you both. Now, in terms of the bird flu, let me see if I can have some sort of a confirmation with Mr. White. Are there cases of bird flu in Jamaica at the moment, Mr. White?
No, there are no cases of bird flu in Jamaica.
There are none.
None.
Thank God. Okay, great.
But the concern was that it's picked up in our close by neighbor, which is Cayman Islands. It has been confirmed there.
But there's none here. Okay.
No, we have not confirmed anything here.
We haven't confirmed anything here. Now, in terms of other infections that are bird related, are there any or there are none to your knowledge?
Well, to
that
our
can affect human beings.
To our knowledge, there are none confirmed in Jamaica that can affect human, but worldwide there have been concern going on with a few, and bird flu is one of them. But even though it's a concern, it has not shown to jump across and been a big problem to human as yet.
Well, I always say if there's no problem, don't try to go there.
I agree with you there, but it's something that we have to be looking into now, you know?
I just thought I'd ask.
Yeah, no.
However, in terms of leptospirosis, there have been cases reported. Dr. Patrick Craig, I want to raise that one with you, but I think we are now upon a break already, sir. So after the break, I will be asking you if you can assist us with that. Listeners and viewers, please stay with us. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
The time by Grace Good Move is
7:45 a.m.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the second watch, and the topic is bird flu, leptospirosis, and other non-human borne infections post. Melissa, our guests are Damian White, Assistant Lecturer, Department of Life Sciences, University of West Indies, nature lover, and past President, BirdLife Jamaica, and Dr. Patrick Craig, vet pathologist. Before the break, Mr. White thankfully confirmed that there are no confirmed cases of bird flu here in Jamaica. Thank God for that. Dr. Patrick Craig, just before the break, I was hoping that you could have at least made a few comments in relation to leptospirosis and the cases that have been said to have been confirmed here, but alas, we came upon the break. Dr. Patrick Craig, can you assist us there at all? Dr. Craig.
The listeners understand what leptospirosis is. It's a bacterial infection.
Yes.
And, people tend to come in contact with this type of bacterium, either via the soil or contaminated water or, contaminated urine left over from animals, namely rats, it could be dogs, cats could be one of them. So
leptospirosis can also result from, you said, dogs and cats?
Yes, so they also get very sick from it. Cats is a little bit different because they seem to be a little bit more...
I want to be clear. They can be agents for the spread of leptospirosis?
They can be agents from it, yes. They may not get very sick as dogs do or people, and they can also shed it. So it is very important that we know these things and people understand what the signs and the symptoms of these
because normally
are.
we are sort of told it's from rodents, rats.
So rodents, yes, but other animals could carry it.
Interesting.
It is, yes, and dogs, what we do with dogs, we vaccinate them against leptospirosis. We vaccinate other animals like pigs against leptospirosis. And so these vaccines are available, and these are things that we do routinely on the island.
I see. Interesting. Continue, Dr. Craig.
So, and just to let the people in Redland understand, leptospirosis is not a brand new disease. It has been here forever. It has always been around. What has happened is that after Melissa, the storm has dramatically increased the condition that allowed that disease to spread. So
Explain what you mean by the conditions.
Yes. So the condition, the whole condition of leptospirosis, once you have water, once you have lots of rain, we tend to see these diseases popping up when you have a lot of water, stagnant water. People start to walking around in those stagnant water. If you have broken wounds, things like these allow leptospirosis to spread, and it allows the condition to actually, be widened. So we are not dealing with something new. Lepto has always been around forever, and that's why we have vaccines on the island to make sure that we prevent it and prevent animals from coming down with it. And in the same terms, if animals don't have it, then it doesn't pass on to human beings as effectively as we're seeing right now.
And are you saying that vaccination is the only way to treat with leptospirosis?
So the best thing to do is to make sure that we prevent all of these things. So we prevent the passing on from animals, and the only way you can prevent it from animals is if we vaccinate all the animals, especially our food animals. Dogs and cats, these are companion animals that we have in our space, in our house, in our beds. If we vaccinate these animals, we ensure that they don't become carriers of leptospirosis.
Now, what if you have, unfortunately, God forbid, because it can happen, you could have a home where, for whatever reason, there are rats in the roof, in the ceiling, there are rats under the house. They might come out at night in the kitchen area. and you haven't gotten rid of all of them yet. What are the sorts of cautions you want to leave with us?
So the best caution I would say for people in living in areas where rats are is the first thing is to try and eliminate the rodent population. Cleaning and disinfection of areas is also very important. Wherever you're going to prepare food, to make sure that you don't have any urine that you may not see. You also want to make sure that all your food is locked away safely, because what rats like to do is they pass over your food. They may take a nibble at it and they will leave their urine right there, and that is the part that is very critical. Once they pass their urine, the leptospirosis organism will be passed out from the urine. If they pass it over your bread or whatever, you may not see it, you may not be able to detect it, you may not be able to smell it, and you consume that, you get infected. And we have seen cases over many years where dogs have come into clinics with leptospirosis, signs of leptospirosis, and within weeks, those same owners, where we've heard news that they too would have come down with leptospirosis. So it's very important that if we see rats around, and what we always hear is that if you see one, there's another 125 that you may not see. So it is very important that if you see them around in your kitchen, disinfection, clean, prepare your food in safe places, lock away your food in containers that rats may not be able to enter and nibble or pee on. And your water also is very important that your water is either bottled water, you boil your water, or you store it in containers that, rats may not have access to.
No, Damon, we haven't forgotten you, but I just want to raise this additional one here with Dr. Craig. Dr. Craig, a lot of persons are consuming foods at restaurants,
right,
fast food outlets, because we are busy. And oftentimes we tell ourselves there isn't enough time to prepare meals at home. So we're constantly on the go, on the rush, buying box lunch here, box food here, box with the food inside. And even at some well-appointed establishments, we don't know whether or not they have an issue with rodents. We don't know. So do you have any guidance for those fast food outlets, those restaurants, even if they seem to be high-end? And what guidance do you have for us as persons who would patronize these establishments, including food trucks?
Yes, I do believe in our public health departments, and we have both vets and medical doctors, medical personnel working in that area to ensure that they man those food establishments, to ensure that they're doing stuff at the highest standard. Yes, even with that, you may get the 1 and 2 rodents running around here and there. We have seen reports where we've seen rodents in some of these very high-end establishments. It's also very important that the people who work in these areas make sure that they clean and sanitize areas every morning, that their food is locked up, whether in refrigerators or in containers that rodents do not have access to. Because, God forbid, a rat could run over your food in these fast food establishments. Not everything inside there is cooked at temperatures that will allow bacteria to be killed. You have your vegetables that may not be cooked.
Exactly.
People could get sick. Get sick. So we urge people to buy food at establishments that are sanctioned by our public health departments. And we know we have lots of food places on the side of the road. People doing stuff. Just put up a shed somewhere and cook. If these areas are not manned by our public health officials, it is very important that we take precautions to make sure that wherever we're going to get our food from, it's an establishment that is of the highest standard, and they follow all the regulations from our government officials.
And Dr. Craig, the public health authorities will tell us that they don't have enough staff to go around.
True, and we know that, and we see that, so the onus is now on the government to make sure, after Melissa, we have seen all those cracks popping up where, in our health systems, in, the light and power and telecommunication, with public health also, the few people who they have, they're just not enough to man everywhere and to make sure that all the standards are being followed. And so that's a very big crack that has formed in our system right now, and the government needs to take steps to look at that very keenly.
Interesting. Mr. White, you've heard a lot of what Dr. Craig has said. I don't know if you have any comments to make. I know a lot of it was not in relation to your pet area, birds, but you might have some general comments to make, because the truth is that a lot of what is consumed, in fact, are birds, chickens.
Yes, I have a quick comment. And one of the main thing I want to put to the public, when you heard me mention about bird flu not confirmed here, we need the general public now to share any information if they see any sick bird, any big die-off, any bird acting weird. Contact veterinary division, contact NEPA, because the thing is, if it show up here, early warning is what we need so we can come and deal with the situation. What will normally happen is, for example, when it has been confirmed in the farm on Cayman, they have to call every bird. Everything has to be called. And if you remember, before the American election, there was a big...
Mr. White, cull is a fancy word for killing them.
All right, yes, they have to, right. Well, let's put it, they would have to kill everything.
Okay.
And there was a big egg shortage. So one of the things that, before I move on, I want to make, if anybody see anything weird, acting odd, big bird, big die-off, sick birds, contact NEPA, contact veterinary division. Do not handle it with your hands. Do not throw them in the gully. Do not put them with your other animals. Because right now, with information like that come out, early surveillance is important. And this goes for any form of illnesses going around, whether it's leptospirosis, whether it's bird flu, whether it's anything that we don't know about. If you see something odd, reach out to the authorities. Now, in regards to what you're saying, general right now, after the hurricane, there has been a number of people have been impacted. If you go into a food establishment and you see some form of droppings, or you feel very worried about it, follow your gut instinct. Because we have a leptospirosis outbreak right now, and sometimes people feel like it's only rats. One thing that I showed to a friend of mine the other day, that have a bird feeder. When you have bird feeders, they have droppings, and rats go there to drink water. And by them there, they're dropping their urine and all of that. You just go there, you have a small cut, all of that can go in, you can get contaminated by the small cut on the hand that you don't see. So right now, just take precaution at this time.
Yes. And of course, in terms of your own personal hygiene, ensure that you're always, washing your hands, that sort of thing. Mr. White?
Yeah, wash your hands.
You'd agree?
Yeah.
Yes, so, sanitation, if you have to wear your personal protective gears, do that. Wound care, any form of wound, Mr. White just mentioned, you may not see a cut on your hand. Make sure that you know. It's important right now that anything you're doing, working at work, at home, anything, make sure that you be safe. You don't have any wounds somewhere that you may not see, because all of those little wounds may come back and be a problem later on with contamination in dirty waters. And, we have a lepto outbreak right now. You may not be able to tell where the lepto is coming from. It could be coming from anywhere.
Right. So essentially what you're saying, Dr. White, and Mr. White, maybe in time to come, you soon be Dr. White, sir. Mr. White and Dr. Craig, I think what you're essentially saying is that families in protecting themselves during cleanup and recovery ought to make sure that while they are doing so, that they're always keeping themselves clean, washing their hands with, I suppose, soap and water, detergent, whatever the cleaning agent is, always wiping down and sanitizing their areas. Sirs, that's what you're both saying?
Yes, and if you get ill, please reach out to medical practitioners. If you see that you're trying something at home and it's not getting better, I know that we in Jamaica love our home remedies, but if you see that you're not getting better, please reach out to medical practitioners. Understood. That's another thing, very important. I'm begging, please do.
Understood. And we're almost out of time already, and that could be considered a final word. But just in case, as we wrap up today, in terms of looking at this whole matter of protecting ourselves in the light of all of this, a final word from the both of you, maybe 10 seconds each. Dr. Craig first, and then Mr. White. Dr. Craig.
Yes, so I would advise people in Radioland to make sure that they secure their food, clean water. Sanitation, it's very important. Vector control, mosquitoes, rodent, all of those things. food safety. Be aware of all the infectious diseases and their symptoms, just in case that something pops up on you and you don't understand what it is. Seek medical attention right away. Do not wait.
And Mr. White?
If you see anything odd around, birds getting sick, your animals, or wild animals getting sick, reach out to the expert. Reach out.
You also mentioned importantly, if you go into an establishment and you're not convinced that everything is kosher,
yes,
maybe there's a little bit of lack of sanitation, you notice, and so on. You're saying follow your gut instinct.
Follow your instinct, because a lot of things going around. Don't follow your instinct.
Have to leave it there this morning. Gentlemen, we're completely out of time. I want to thank you, Mr. White, and Dr. Craig, for being with us. Thank you for your time and for your thoughts.
Thank you very much for inviting.
And here's a reminder to support the relief effort by visiting the supportjamaica.gov.jm portal for a string of options available where you can donate supplies, volunteer your time, and just your manpower. Of course, thank you, viewers and listeners. Join us again tomorrow. And of course, you can download our Love 101 app and stay connected to us. And of course, we are on YouTube and Facebook. I want to thank our producer, Kathy Gale, and our guests, of course. And of course, remember to stay connected to us. Love 101 FM, the #1 gospel station in Jamaica. Join me again tomorrow as I look at other issues of the day. I am Stokeley Marshall, handing it back to Love in the Morning with Drakal.
That was the Morning Watch. Time is now 8:01 a.m. and you are now invited